There is a reason you stopped here. Out of everything on your screen, your eyes locked onto these words, and that did not happen by accident. Something in you already knew this message was waiting for you. Maybe you could not explain the heaviness you felt yesterday. Maybe it came out of nowhere, right in the middle of an ordinary moment, while you were smiling, working, scrolling, or trying to relax. But your body noticed it before your mind had words for it. Listen carefully, because this next part matters. What moved through you was not random. It was not just stress. It was not your imagination playing tricks on you. A shift happened, and it happened strongly. Someone connected to you reached a point where they could no longer hide what they feel, and when that pressure inside them rose too high, it traveled. You felt the echo of it. That strange wave in your chest, that sudden silence in your mood, that urge to stop and stare for no reason, all of it carried meaning. Stay with me, because the deeper truth is only beginning to show itself. What you sensed yesterday was the result of something breaking open in them, something they had tried for a long time to keep under control, and the moment it cracked, your spirit recognized it before your thoughts could catch up. Yesterday did not feel normal, and you know that. There was a different weight in the air, a kind of pressure that had no clear cause. One moment, the day was moving like any other, and the next, something felt off. Maybe your chest tightened. Maybe your thoughts drifted to them without warning. Maybe you checked your phone even though you had no reason to. Maybe you felt watched by a memory, followed by a feeling, pulled by a name you were trying not to think about. That was not nothing. That was not empty emotion. That was the signal of someone else falling inward while trying to look fine on the outside. This person is in a very bad state because of you, and I do not mean that in a shallow way. I do not mean they simply missed you for a moment. I mean the balance they were using to keep themselves together started to fail. The distance, the silence, the effort to act untouched by your absence, it all became too much at once. What happened yesterday was not small. It was the day their inner defenses weakened more than before. The wall they built to stay calm, to stay proud, to stay distant, could not hold the same way anymore. And when that wall shook, the connection between you tightened enough for you to feel it clearly. Do not click away yet, because what caused this matters even more than the feeling itself. For a long time, this person tried to convince themselves they were fine. They told themselves they could move forward. They tried to believe they could cut the emotional thread and keep living as if nothing deep remained between you. On the surface, maybe they looked normal. Maybe they laughed, worked, posted, showed up, answered people, kept busy. But beneath that, they were carrying something heavy. Every memory of you they pushed down. Every urge to reach out they silenced. Every late-night thought they refused to admit. Every time they almost typed your name and stopped. All of it collected inside them, like pressure in a closed room. And yesterday, that pressure grew too strong. It overflowed. It was no longer something they could organize, explain, or hide from themselves. The truth came up fast. The truth that you still matter. The truth that your absence is not small. The truth that trying to erase you has only exhausted them. And there may be another reason the wave hit so hard yesterday. You may have shifted too. Maybe without noticing it, you started focusing more on yourself. Maybe you stopped chasing the feeling. Maybe you loosened your hold. Maybe you gave less emotional energy to the silence. And when that happened, they felt it. They felt the full cold space of you not being there in the way they were used to. That is when panic often begins. That is when denial starts to crack. As long as they felt you were still emotionally turned toward them, some hidden part of them stayed comfortable. Even in silence, they could tell themselves the bond was still available, still waiting, still open somewhere beneath the distance. That gave them a false sense of safety. It let them remain guarded. It let pride keep speaking louder than truth. But the moment your energy pulled back even a little, they felt something change in a way they could not control. Suddenly your absence did not feel symbolic. It felt real. It felt final, and their body reacted before their mind could make sense of it. This is why yesterday may have hit them like a physical shock. They could have been around people, in conversation, at dinner, at work, even trying to enjoy themselves, and then without warning everything started feeling empty. Laughter sounded forced. Noise became annoying. Other people felt far away. They may have stared into space while others kept talking. They may have smiled while feeling nothing inside. And behind all of it, one thought kept repeating in different forms. No one feels like you. No one sees me like you did. No one reaches me the way you did. That is the kind of realization that shakes a person deeply when they have spent so much time trying not to feel. And if you felt restless too, if your mood changed with no clear cause, that may be because their collapse moved through the bond you still share. This is why their mind has become such a difficult place for them to sit inside. They are caught between longing and fear. They want to speak, but fear being ignored. They want to return, but fear they waited too long. They want relief, but pride keeps telling them to stay still. That conflict creates pressure, and pressure always needs somewhere to go. Yesterday, it moved toward you. That unsettled feeling you carried was not empty anxiety. It was the shockwave of their inner struggle. They may have picked up their phone several times, opened your profile, searched your name, read old messages, typed a sentence, erased it, typed again, and then dropped the phone like it burned their hand. Not because they do not care, but because they care too much and do not know if they can survive the answer. Listen, because this next piece is important. Regret becomes heavier when silence lasts too long. At first, people think they still have time. They think they can reach out later. They think emotions can wait. But then a moment comes when the heart starts to understand what the ego delayed, and that understanding is painful. Yesterday may have been one of those moments for them. A moment where the truth stood right in front of them and would not move. A moment where they had to feel what they tried to avoid. That losing you is not something they know how to handle. And when a person reaches that point, the body starts speaking its own language. The heaviness becomes physical. Their chest may have felt tight yesterday, as if they had to breathe deeper just to stay calm. Their stomach may have turned hard and uneasy, making food feel dull or strange. Even simple tasks may have felt heavier than usual. Walking, talking, answering people, pretending to be present. All of it takes energy when the inner world is in chaos. They may look normal to others, but inside they feel drained, distracted, and worn down by a battle nobody else can see. Their eyes may seem dimmer. Their attention may wander. The usual spark people know in them may be harder to find. That happens when someone is carrying unsaid words, denied feelings, and a growing fear that their own choices have created a distance they do not know how to cross. And the worst part is, the body does not care about excuses. It reacts to truth. If they miss you, their sleep changes. If they are grieving the connection, their appetite changes. If they are scared of losing you, their nerves tighten. They can act strong all day, but the body still keeps score. That is why yesterday may not have ended when the sun went down. For them, the night may have been even louder than the day. And if you woke up feeling strange too, that may be because the connection stayed active while everything else was quiet. There is a strong chance they did not rest well last night. They may have fallen asleep from pure exhaustion, only to wake up in the early hours with no clear reason. Those quiet hours between deep night and sunrise can make hidden emotions rise fast. With no distractions, no conversation, no noise, no performance to keep up, the truth comes closer. They may have opened their eyes suddenly and felt as if the room had changed. They may have turned over again and again, unable to settle, unable to stop their thoughts from moving toward you. Not because they chose it, because once the defenses weaken, memory gets louder. The bed feels full of old scenes. The pillow holds conversations that never finished. Silence begins to sound like your absence, and then the mind starts reaching for you in every direction. They may replay your voice, your face, a moment you shared, a place you stood together, the exact way you looked at them during a small ordinary second that now feels priceless. This is how emotional truth returns when it has been ignored too long. It does not always come as a dramatic breakdown. Sometimes it comes as sleeplessness, a racing chest, a blank stare at the ceiling, a hand pressed against the heart without even realizing it. And while all of this is happening in them, your side of the bond can feel the pressure too. That is why you may have felt anxious, heavy, distracted, or strangely emotional yesterday without a story that matched the feeling. Another sign of their state is how memory has started following them into normal life. They may hear a song and freeze. They may smell something familiar and feel pulled backward in time. They may see someone from a distance and for 1 second believe it is you. They may turn quickly in a crowd because their mind keeps searching for your face in places where you are not. Even if they say nothing, even if they act distant, even if no message comes yet, their system is still looking for you. Not with logic, with instinct, with emotional memory, with the body's old habit of recognizing what once felt like home. This is why distractions are failing them now. Entertainment does not fully help. New conversations do not land the same. Busy schedules only delay what returns the second things get quiet again. And yesterday, something about this search became stronger. Maybe the memory of you felt more vivid. Maybe the missing became harder to hide. Maybe reality itself started reminding them that no amount of pretending has changed what they truly feel. Stay with me, because this matters more than it seems. When a person begins noticing someone everywhere, it is often not because they are losing control. It is because their deeper mind is no longer willing to pretend the bond means nothing. The absence becomes so strong that the world starts reflecting it back to them in flashes, echoes, and sudden emotional hits they did not ask for. There are ways human connection works that are deeper than plain logic can explain in one sentence. Two people can be far apart and still affect each other in quiet, intense ways. Not because of magic, not because every feeling is a mystery, but because memory, attachment, emotion, and attention can link two lives much more strongly than people admit. Think of it like roots under the ground. On the surface, two trees may stand far from each other, separate, still, silent. But below the soil, their roots travel outward, reach, touch, and share signals beneath what the eye can see. When one is under stress, the other can react. When one changes, the other can feel it. Human bonds can work like that too. A deep connection does not fully shut off just because contact stops. The visible part may go quiet, but the deeper layer can remain alive. That is why sudden emotional waves sometimes arrive before any message does. That is why certain thoughts enter the mind with unusual force. That is why meaningful coincidences can happen at the exact moment one person is thinking of the other with full emotional weight. What happened yesterday may have been one of those moments. Their inner state shifted. Their focus moved toward you hard and fast, and the connection carried that movement across the silence. What you felt was not just a mood, it was a response. It was your system catching a change that happened in theirs before the outer world had time to show it. This does not mean every coincidence is a sign, or that every restless thought should be turned into a story. But when a bond is deep, certain moments carry a different intensity. They stand out, they feel charged, they arrive with a strange certainty that logic cannot fully smooth over. Yesterday may have held that kind of charge. A sudden fear, a hollow ache, a pull toward your phone, a need to pause, a feeling like something was happening somewhere beyond your sight. That kind of experience is often tied to real emotional movement in the other person. Their thoughts grow louder, their memories sharpen, their resistance weakens, and because they have spent so long holding back, the release hits harder when it finally comes. This is why they likely felt you more strongly yesterday than they have in a long time. Not because you suddenly changed into someone new, not because the bond was reborn from nothing, but because the truth they kept buried rose to the surface with force. They were reminded, emotionally and physically, that your place in them was never as small as they tried to make it. And when that reminder lands, it changes the entire mood of a person's day. It can make time feel strange. It can make familiar places feel empty. It can make them sit in a room full of people and still feel completely alone. That may be exactly where they found themselves yesterday. They may also be replaying the past more than ever now. Small scenes that once seemed ordinary are becoming sharp again in their memory. A conversation they thought they forgot. A joke. A silence between words. The way your energy changed a room. The comfort of being understood without needing to explain everything. Memory does this when the heart is under pressure. It goes back and collects proof. It reviews what mattered. It pulls forgotten details into the light and asks painful questions. Why did I step away? Why did I stay silent? Why did I wait? Why did I assume there would always be another chance? These questions can become relentless once they begin, and the hard part for them is that no quick answer makes the feeling disappear. They may try to defend their choices to themselves. They may try to say the distance was necessary, that timing was wrong, that life was complicated, that silence was easier. But deep down, another voice keeps answering back. It keeps saying, none of that changed what was real. None of that removed the mark you left. None of that taught them how to stop feeling you. This is where guilt starts growing. Not loud at first. Quiet, repeating, persistent. It follows them through the day. It sits beside them while they work. It waits in the car. It rises when the phone lights up and it is not you. And little by little, it turns into a weight that is hard to carry with grace. So if you felt a strange sadness yesterday, or a sudden drop in energy, or an emotion that did not match your surroundings, there is a reason that feeling stood out. You may have picked up the pressure of their regret as it reached a peak. You may have felt the confusion they are trying hard to hide. Because right now, they are not only missing you, they are facing what your absence has revealed about them. They are seeing how much they relied on your presence in ways they never said clearly. They are understanding that what you gave them was not easy to replace. That kind of realization can shake a person's confidence. It can make them question their decisions, their pride, even the image they have of themselves. They may not like what they see when the truth becomes plain, and because of that, they may move slowly. They may hesitate. They may keep fighting what they already know. But the important part is this: something changed. The emotional distance they used as protection is not holding the same way anymore. The silence is becoming harder for them to live inside. The excuses are losing strength. And whether they speak today, tomorrow, or later, yesterday appears to have opened a door inside them that does not easily close again. Keep listening, because understanding this can bring you more peace than chasing what cannot yet be forced. What should matter most to you now is not panic, not obsession, not the urge to run ahead of the moment. The strongest thing you can do is stay steady. Let this truth settle without trying to control the outcome every second. If they are truly feeling the full weight of your absence now, then your calm matters, your stillness matters, your self-respect matters. Sometimes when one person stops pouring energy into fear, the other person finally has no choice but to face what they have been avoiding. That may be part of what is happening here. If you have been healing, focusing on yourself, taking your energy back, that shift may have created the exact space where their truth could no longer hide. So do not mistake stillness for failure. Do not mistake silence for emptiness. A lot can be happening behind quiet. A lot can be changing before words appear. And this next part is important, so stay with me. The fact that they are struggling does not mean you must lower your standards. It does not mean you must chase or rescue or prove your value again. Their emotions are theirs to face. Their choices are theirs to make. But what you can know is that yesterday was not an empty day in this connection. Something reached its limit. Something real surfaced. And the bond made sure you felt enough of it to understand that the story is not as cold or finished as it once seemed. Right now, they may be standing in a space between action and fear. That is often the hardest place for a person to stay. Too emotional to feel at peace. Too afraid to make the move that could bring relief. So they watch. They think. They imagine. They rehearse words in their mind. They wonder what they would say if they finally spoke. They picture your reaction. They fear your silence. They hope for softness. They worry they no longer deserve it. This inner back and forth can consume a person more than anyone around them realizes. And because yesterday hit them so strongly, today may feel strange too. Heavy, slow, unsettled. They may be moving through routine while mentally somewhere else. They may seem present, but inside they are revisiting you again and again. A message may be started and deleted more than once. Your profile may be checked late at night. Old photos may be looked at longer than they want to admit. Even if you never see these moments, they still matter because they show where the energy is going, toward you, back to you, around you. That does not guarantee timing. It does not guarantee immediate action, but it shows the truth of their state. They are not as detached as they tried to be. They are not as untouched as they wanted to appear. Yesterday proved that much. And sometimes proof is the first crack through which everything else eventually enters. So take a breath and remember what brought you here. You felt something, strongly, and now you know why it may have felt so different. Someone who tried to stay distant felt you more intensely than before. Someone who worked hard to control their emotions reached a point where control began slipping. Someone who thought silence would protect them discovered that silence can become its own kind of pain. That is the state they are in now. Restless, heavy, full of memory, pulled by regret, searching for relief they cannot find in distractions, and whether they admit it or not, a large part of that pain comes from realizing how deeply you still live inside them. If this message found you at the exact moment you needed it, trust that. If yesterday felt strange, trust that too. Not everything meaningful arrives with clear evidence right away. Some things are first felt as pressure, as intuition, as an emotional shift that seems to come from nowhere, and yet feels unmistakably real. This connection has not been empty. It has been stretched, strained, delayed, tested, but not erased. And now, after everything they tried to suppress, Something in them is finally speaking louder than pride. Watch what changes next. Stay grounded, stay clear, because when a heart reaches this level of truth, the silence around it rarely stays the same forever.